I know I need to size up with you, and when I defang the Viper, trust me, ain't gonna come from nowhere. Jeff, I already put you out. I don't even know why you're out here right now. Keep on talking. Hey, do me a favor. Why don't you act like this is an AA meeting and you shut your mouth while I'm sharing with the group? And Mustafa, you out here, a boy among men. And I'm gonna tell you what, you got lucky at the Rumble, so I know you're gonna come out here and run your mouth about how bad you are. But let me give you a little bit of a reality check. You see, Mustafa, you said that my eyes don't lie. Well, your eyes don't lie either, because last week, they were closed real tight when I put your simple ass to sleep. And AJ, hey man, be honest with me. How's our old girl Wendy doing?
Welcome back to the Clark Street Wrestling Podcast. It's me, Hafiz, and with me as always is Devin, and we have a guest with us today, Jaydee from Wrestlebread. Jaydee, how are you doing, first of all?
I am doing good. I thought AEW Dynamite was on, but
we all did. I was like, I found out through Facebook, and then someone was like, "Oh, okay, no AEW Dynamite's going to be Saturday." I'm like, "Hold on, what?" I replied, "Hold on, no AEW Dynamite?" ? I was like, yeah, it's going to be a Saturday. I was like, God damn it. So I don't know what I was going to watch and end up watching a little bit of 2.0.
I'm sorry.
I had to catch up a little bit. I was like, let me watch a little bit what I missed.
Just a little bit. Then I text you like, hey, you want to talk about 2.0? You was like, nope. Like, I'm done.
Yeah, man. I just can't. I can't. We were talking about it before we started recording over here that I don't have the excitement anymore for NXT, which sucks. Like NXT went from being my favorite show to just a show that I look at and it's like a shell of itself. Just seeing the graphic and they'll play. What's crazy now is that they actually talk more about NXT now than they did when the Wednesday Night Wars were going on like Raw and SmackDown. They'll actually, Corey Graves was actually talking about stuff that went on the show, and I'm just
putting
like,
it over.
Where was this? Where was
Exactly.
this? You want to blame Triple H, but then you weren't even promoting it, and now you want to promote it when you call it 2.0, man. So it's just it. I just can't do it right now. I can't. Once Triple H gets back, he's still recovering. Hopefully, fingers crossed he comes in. Yeah, clean all this shit up. Gotta clean all this.
2.0 William Regal, no.
That's why I say AEW isn't competition. It's their own stuff. Like they treated NXT like it's competition, which makes no sense to me. That they, refuse to put over their own product. But the moment that it's like losing viewers and everything, they decide to take it over. And like I said before we started, I feel like I'm watching a Saturday morning show on Nickelodeon because it's like it's the way I feel about it. I feel like the issue with it is it's like not for wrestling fans almost. It's not. It feels like it's like insulting our intelligence from time to time, because especially the what's his name, Joe Gracie or something like that.
Yeah.
Good wrestler, but the character just like don't make sense. He's like a no violent counselor, but he's a wrestler, so it's
contradiction of himself.
Exactly. So that like makes no sense at all. But yeah, I caught on that they promote it a lot more now than they did when it was the black and gold. And so I did hear like the reason why they're doing all this is so that when they bring up people, it's just like a lateral move. They could stay the same character that they are instead of what they've been doing with pretty much every single person that's come up from NXT and changing the name and stuff like that. And it's like a lot easier to create their own people than to have all the indie wrestlers. Because as we see now, all the indie wrestlers are seeing what's going on in AEW, and they're like, I wish I could do my own promo. I wish I could do my own character. They missed that, that creative freedom. That's over there. Exactly. It's a party over there. Everybody's smiling, having fun,
Hey, what's going on here?
I'm here on Raw and lost my first name, So it's just like, I tried to give it a chance, but it's just like the more and more I watch it, it's just like this isn't for like, you know, wrestling fans. It's more, you might as well watch Raw, and you know, you might as well watch Raw pretty much. It's like a pre-show for Raw.
Yeah. Main event.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at, you know, when NXT, you know, again, we'll just see where we go from there. But AEW, just to switch gears a little bit here. So Jaydee, you were at the last, was it both Rampage and Dynamite?
Yeah. Right, they filmed it all in one night.
Awesome. Hey, talk a little bit about that. Like, what was that experience like being at that?
So it was very fun. So I've been to a lot of WWE events, and this is the first AEW event, of course. I think it's their first time in Philly anyway. And I had a lot of fun. Like, it gave me vibes of when I went to Mania, for example, when, you know, you have all those internationals coming in, and it's just like a big party and a good time. And like I was saying before, when I went to WWE, like I went to Extreme Rules, and you know, it's supposed to be extreme. It's in Philly, but it's like,
wow, you was saying Extreme.
Yes, Extreme Rules in Philly. It was the one where Brock Lesnar got the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Oh, that
2019.
Yeah, doing the Running Man, right?
Yeah. When the Undertaker's last like live match. So it was kids there. So, you know, we couldn't chant the way we normally chant in Philly because it's like more kids than anything. Like there was a kid in front of me with a sign for Lacey Evans, so I had to like sit there like a good, you know, like a good adult, try to be respectful because I didn't want to waste, you know, destroy this kid's favorite wrestler. So, but there was a chant that came out with Shane McMahon when he like got the chair. There was the Philly chant that happened there that they of course like muted on WWE Network. But with AEW, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of chants, you know, the crowd was very loud, and I'm very happy it came across on TV because I wasn't like, you only hear like your section, so you wasn't sure like how it really comes across. So I was very happy when I heard that, you know, we were very loud and everything like that. I got there, like they did AEW Elevation there. And I got there like midway through because they let everyone in late. So I got to see Ruby Soho. I saw a little bit of the Joey Janela match with Sunny Kiss running in. And I think that was the last match. And then they started AEW Dynamite. And it was a lot of fun, especially with Heyman coming back. We all went crazy for it. It was actually my first time, I believe, seeing CM Punk live. And I have to really think. Wow. I have to really think because I went to a Money in the Bank match when it was in Philly, and I'm not sure if CM Punk was in it. It may have been when he was doing the straight edge everything, but since he, you know, did the pipe bomb and the Summer of Punk and everything like that, I don't think I ever saw him live. So that was my first time seeing him live, which I was very excited about. Seeing John Moxley and seeing Adam Cole. I've seen the Young Bucks before. I've never seen Kenny Omega live. So it was just like a lot of fun. You know, it was a big party. There a lot of people in the crowd in my section. They was like, you know, shouting out things and everything. And it was just a lot of fun. Of course, you probably saw on Rampage, the Acclaim did cut a rap and they said Ben Simmons. And that just like set everyone off. There was a F Ben Simmons chant that continuously rolled on during the match. Man. I don't even know if that came across on TV because that got a little loud at a certain point. But yeah, what I really appreciated, Tony Khan came out between the filming of Dynamite and Rampage. He talked to the crowd. He thanked everyone. He talked about his experience of Philly and how he loved Philly and ECW. And he like got on his knees, no lie, got on his knees and begged us to be just as loud for Rampage like we were for Dynamite. So
that's what's up.
Yeah. And then afterwards, he came back out and he brought out the ECW legends. He brought out Taz. He brought out Jericho, Dean Malenko, and Jerry Lynn. And they all, you know, spoke to the crowd and everything like that. So I thought that was really nice, you know, to kind of like give And I know they kind of do it with almost every city. You kind of give like something special for the city because like it's my first time seeing Jerry Lynn and Dean Malenko, you know, in person. So it's just like it was a very fun experience. It was a good show too, you know, with the matches that they did, you know, seeing Daniel Bryan and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, who Luchasaurus is very popular in Philly. Of course. But it was a really good time and I had a lot of fun there. I took my son. It was his first AEW event and he had a ball too. He is now a fan of Hangman Page. He's a fan of CM Punk, you know, and it's really cool because, you know, it's those experiences that you had when you were a kid of seeing wrestling live and, you know, seeing like the magic of everything. But it felt like you can be a wrestling fan yourself. It's like I said, when I was at WWE, like with a bunch of kids and everything like that. So it's not like you could like go to the, you know, look at the person next to you and high five and stuff like that. Because the part that I was like seeing on TV, it was because the guys behind me, they were fans of Hook, and they had a sign. They had a sign that said Punk fears Hook. So they were cracking me up the whole time. Because when Hook came out, they was like, yes, that's our boy Hook. Hook, yes, get him, get him.
Oh my goodness. Hook's biggest fans showed up. Hook, oh man.
Biggest fans.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness.
So it was like not only like AEW giving a good experience, but it was like everyone in the crowd was given a good experience too. So it's a lot of fun. And I always say, like, you could like both companies, really.
Hell yeah.
You can like both companies.
Hell yeah. I think we've proven that on this podcast. And you know, and I see, I think that resonates with other podcasters too, like yourself. Like you just said it yourself. You know, there's room for a lot of other wrestling too. You know? Yeah. I got a question too. So you mentioned your son and you said, you know, he saw CM Punk. Now, was that your son's first time? Not first time, but did he know about CM Punk before?
No.
Or was he too young at the time? You know,
he was too young. So yeah, he was very small with the whole CM Punk and everything. So he was a fan of John Cena. So that kind of showed the way that you know how much he has grown and everything. But yeah, it was his like he watched wrestling before and stuff, and like he went to SmackDown with me and everything like that. But like and I had pointed out to a lot of people where I didn't realize how close we were to the ring. Like I knew we were like close, but I didn't realize how close we were. So I showed him, I was like, because I noticed it when we were live, every time they did the wide shot, you can see him because he was wearing a white hoodie. And so you would see him when Hangman Page wins, he's like jumping up and down and everything like that. So yeah, it was his first time seeing a lot of people, except for he saw Adam Cole like Twitch and stuff like that. So when he saw Adam Cole, he's like, wait, I know that guy. I was like, yeah.
That's what's up.
That's
awesome. Twitch. So,
it
was his first time like really seeing a lot of wrestlers and just being able to like just, you know, sit back and have fun and, you know, just enjoy everything that he's seeing.
That's what's up. Yeah, because AEW, it's when me and my daughter went to the CM Punk, you know, when he debuted over there, coming back to return of Punk, I sensed the love. God damn it, I wore my head of the table shirt right here to an AEW show. Yeah. And, you know, I thought maybe it would ruffle feathers, but no, it was just, I got the love. You know, I even had a saw a little kid right there. I guess it was with his friend, and I'm walking by. He whispered to his friend. He was like, "You gotta acknowledge him." I was like, "Oh, that's funny." I was like, "That's funny." Yeah,
and that's cool because. And the funny thing is, some people have pointed out, you know, that corner where a lot of wrestlers were turning. There was a guy with an AEW shirt, but he had the Wing Eagle title from WWE. And he was in a lot of the camera shots. They even like did a close shot of him. So it's like, it's really cool that, you know, you're not like shunned for wearing WWE stuff or any other promotion stuff. It's not like, you're in a small bubble. Like, everybody acknowledge like, hey, you're watching WWE. That's completely fine. Right. So, I think that's cool as well. Yeah. I think that's cool as well. But it's always crazy in Philly. So it's always crazy in Philly.
Oh, man.
Yeah, well, nice singing, awesome. By the way. I saw you sing Color Personality.
Listen, I like that song.
I saw you on TV. And you was in the zone. I was like, look at her. Okay. That's what's up. Representing. That song
even while he was gone. So I know the words and everything like that. So I didn't know they caught me at that part. I knew they would get the sign. But I didn't know, because obviously I wasn't paying attention. I was on TV.
So you was in the zone.
I was just like singing. And then when he came out to wrestle on Rampage, I was in the zone again, just sitting there singing. And I just happened to look, and it's a camera like pointing right at me. And I was like, oh, I really hope they don't show my goofy behind. Sitting here just singing the song in my own world. So, I'm glad they like caught that little few seconds of me just like singing along to the song and everything. But yeah, it was fun, man. Though.
Awesome. Well, one thing you mentioned, it's one of the topics I wanted to talk about here, was Adam Hangman Page and his return. His return to AEW, and in the casino ladder match, winning the casino ladder match, having a guaranteed title shot now. So we're kind of course correcting, getting back on the tracks for where we were before he left. There's just this one little change right now, and that's the fact that Bryan Danielson is in maybe one of the best dream feuds ever with Kenny Omega now. Like before, clear, like, hey, Page, Omega, cool. We're going there. Page beats Omega, becomes champion. Well, what about this guy, this dude? I know you may have heard of him, Bryan Danielson.
Like his triple threats.
I know.
Is that
stay in Brian?
What do you
like
think?
Threesomes? He like threesomes. Threesomes is his thing. Daniel threesome.
Just gotta slide in there.
Slithering like two of y'all, huh?
Man.
Let's make this a threesome.
I feel like what's probably gonna happen is we're gonna get the Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega matchup, probably at Full Gear. That'll happen one-on-one, and then we'll see Page face the winner potentially. But to your point now, I mean, a triple threat, maybe they go that route and have somehow Kenny Omega retain by heel tactics. What do we think is the best way to go about this? Not necessarily what we think we'll do, but what we think would be the best. If you were booking, how would you do it?
I think this is a very good situation to be in, though, because
that's a good problem to have.
It's a very good problem to have. It like give me vibes of, in the heydays of the Attitude Era when you had like multiple stars, and it's just like you can put together like different matches from all these different people, and it'll be like 5-star matches. But really, truthfully, Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson don't need a title for their match, which clearly showed, in that match that they had that led to a draw. And even when it happened in Philly, we all went crazy. They were even though they were in a tag team title match, the fact that we saw them have one-on-one, everybody went crazy. So they really don't need, a title to really have that feud. But even though Brian did mention he is after the title. So it's just like, well, how do you go from there? But they are still trying to build up, because, you have to have wins. It's not like WWE where you can just waltz right in for a title shot. You have to work at it. So I feel as though I think the best way to do it could be to have, Dan Bryan continue to pick up wins. Because one thing that AEW has shown they could do, they're really good at long-term booking. I mean, look at Hangman Page, look at Britt Baker, the long-term booking with those two, how they went from, did a complete 180 with it. Before when AEW first came around, not a lot of people knew who Hangman Page was. Not a lot of people was paying attention to him. Now he's like the biggest baby face that they have. And then with Britt Baker, not a lot of people really cared for her. A lot of people really didn't like her. And now she's like the biggest women's wrestler with AEW. So I don't think like they have to rush, Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson right now. Because Bryan Danielson, as you see, he can fight other people to kind of like keep things busy, which is something that I really appreciate, you know, that you can do long-term booking and you can have Bryan Danielson feud with somebody else. Maybe he enters a long-term feud with Adam Cole, for example, or something happens and it's him versus Jungle Boy, for example. Or maybe since Christian Cage is there, you know, Christian Cage suddenly, you know, he wants the title as well, you know, and it's something between him and Bryan Danielson. So it's like a lot of different ways you can go about it versus, you know, strictly going straight for, you know, Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega. I think Hangman Page should go in first. Because with AEW, what I really like is they don't play hot potato with the title. Whoever has the title has it for a while. They're on the top of the game. So they only have, you know, 3 champions so far. Whereas though within a year, WWE and some other promotions, they'll have 4 or 5 champions within a year. So I feel as though you could have Hangman have the title right now. You can do, you know, at Full Gear, Hangman versus Kenny Omega. Hangman wins the title. Have Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega go into a feud and continue on with the Elite. Maybe have, because this is another dream match of Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson as well. And then you can have triple threats. You can have, you know, them teaming up and stuff like that, since they're kind of both faces, quote unquote, because they don't really, I mean, they do face and heels, but it's like it's a big gray area with AEW. So you can do like a lot of different things. But I feel as though you don't need Bryan Danielson to go after the title like just yet. Like it could be like his main goal, but just have him do a few things along the way, you know, help out build some other people like CM Punk was doing with, you know, go against Darby Allin or Jungle Boy, or, you know, work his way through the Elite like he has been and start, you know, long-term feuds and stuff like that. So I think what they should do now is Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page, because that was what they were building before, you know, he stepped away for the birth of his child. To do that first, you know, because that's your biggest baby face, to, you know, get that set in stone and then just continue working with Bryan Danielson or something like that. You know, do you kind of have him turn slightly healed? Like it's a lot of things that you could play with while you have Hangman Page as your champion. You can even have Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson in a long-term feud. Once Bryan Danielson have enough wins, you know, they face each other. Bryan gets the title, and you can have Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson once again, you know, because Kenny Omega is going to want his title back. So it's a lot of different ways you could do it. But I think what they should do is, you know, what we were all waiting for, and that's Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page. Because that could even lead to Adam Cole possibly turning on the Elite, because he doesn't know what happened with Hangman Page and the Elite. So, you know, it's a lot of, I love the fact that it's just a lot of different ways they can go about it, where, you know, you can't really guess in stone, like, okay, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. This is who they're going to have champion. There's like a lot of different ways they can go about this. But I think it should be Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page first.
Yeah, I like that. Devin?
You know what? I love how Daniel Bryan, let me change it up. Bryan Danielson. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I have to get used to saying that. You know, Bryan Danielson. I like how he's coming in and trying to use the influence of the WWE booking style and try to cut corners to get the AEW championship. I appreciate that. He doesn't want to go the typical, you know, I don't want to get these wins, you know, build my record up and face, you know, the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega. I prefer him to stick that way and try to make a case for himself. And everybody know why. If you know pro wrestling, you know he's already the best. And you know, we know this. And I think and I always look at wrestling from the business side. And the business side is telling me, go with the threesome. Go with the triple threat. Go with the draw. Bryan Danielson is a draw. And if you can, and the way they tell stories, and you can have a hell of a way to book your way to Full Gear and get a lot of pay-per-view buys, and you have one of the best wrestlers, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, and Adam Hangman Page in there. And if you could tell a story that Adam Hangman Page beat Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson in the same match, in a triple threat, that is a great way to tell a story and build your champion. Like he's already like, God, like if they have like a 5-star fucking match in a threesome, you know, it will blow everybody's mind. It's like, hell yeah, he deserves that AEW World Champion. He is set now. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would be a great way for him to capture the GOAT like that. You know, yeah, maybe it's, you know, WWE influenced me of the way of looking things, but I think the reasons why I'm looking at this too, I think that's your draw. Like I'm looking at this like to get more buy-ins. Like Bryan Danielson, it's a draw. He's an instant draw. And he's already trying to use his influence of his pro wrestling ability to cut corners, cut the line, and we already know he proven that with going with the draw with Kenny Omega. All right, so give me the threesome. I want to see a threesome. I want to see a threesome. Goddamn it, give me the threesome. It is decided.
Wow. So, I mean, I think both of you make great points. I lean more towards Jaydee's side on it, though. Just for me, I think the story, I want to see that capped off one-on-one between those two, between Kenny and Adam. I feel like there's been a long-term story that's been told between those two, and to really get the emotional impact of what it would mean for Adam Hangman Page, for him to, you know, he lost his opportunity to go after the championship one-on-one with Kenny Omega, his former tag team partner. And then he lost again his opportunity and the Dark Order's opportunity in that matchup with the Elite. And then to come back after all that and to get this kind of last chance opportunity, you know, with the casino ladder match, and to see his former friend, former Elite member who he came to AEW with, you know, and to pay it off full circle with the championship win one-on-one with Kenny Omega. Like, I think that's the story I want. I'm not saying I'd be mad at a Bryan Danielson triple threat match. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I think story-wise, yeah, I wouldn't be mad at the you know, it's just, I think the story for me, the real impactful story, to get that moment of them like one-on-one and the storytelling there. I think Bryan, he is a draw, yes, but I think that show is going to sell out regardless if you have it be Kenny and Adam, and especially you see that, you heard that pop, you know, you feel it, you know, when Adam Hangman Page came out, he's a superstar, like he's a draw too, you know, and I've talked about, I guess my power rankings of favorite wrestlers in AEW and how it shifts based off of hey, what you do,
legit power rankings,
right? Hey, we got rankings now. And Miro, you know, he had been up there, but the minute Adam Hangman Page showed up, I was like, oh my God, I was so happy. I forgot about Miro. I'm like, hey man, you know, Adam Hangman Page is back. I'm rooting for him to win. Oh, you know, like I was all over it. So, you know, for me, one-on-one, I'd love to see that. And Jaydee brought up another great point too. I feel like that is a great way to start the divide within the Elite and between Adam Cole and Kenny Omega. Like there's something there that they're teasing little by little, being the Elite,
little
you
friction.
know.
Yeah, there's little eggs. Seeds have been dropped.
Yeah, we poison this man, okay? Like
I'm gonna super kick this man. When he's not looking, I'm gonna get his ass. Watch.
Right.
It's coming.
So, you know, I think that from a booking perspective, it's a great problem to have all of these elements, you know, going on with the championship and with these different characters. But yeah, I think one-on-one, that's the way I would lean with that. But yeah, threesome, if that happens, cool. We cool with the threesome.
So let me ask you this real quick, man, because you mentioned about if, you know, teasing between Adam Cole and Kenny Omega. So if they do that, are you cool with basically Kenny Omega going back to being a face?
I don't think he goes to being a face. Well, okay. That's a good question, because in my head, my gut instinct was that Kenny doesn't even turn face. because
but really, you don't feel sorry for him though, right?
No, because again, I'm seeing the cracks in his like friendship with Adam Cole when him and the Young Bucks are talking about Adam when Adam's not there. And Kenny Omega is talking about betraying him already, and I'm just like, whoa,
yeah.
So
got here.
Like,
been a full 24 hours yet.
Yeah, it almost might be the other way around, where it's Adam Cole's the one that turns face and Kenny Omega stays heel. If they do it the other way too, I mean that works, But yeah, I just feel like Kenny, I think naturally to me in this storyline between those two, I think he's the villain. I think he's the one that he just can't handle another alpha male there. Like he has to be it.
Yeah.
With Adam Cole, he's there, and they're friends and everything, and he's cool. But Adam's got his swag about him. I mean, one of his favorite catchphrases is his own name. So, his ego is huge.
Exactly.
These two cannot, exist in the same plane for too long, I feel like. But
yeah,
they'll build it out little by little. So we'll see. We'll see.
I got another follow-up question, but I'll save it. You know what? I'll save it for after hours. Better yet, I'll save it for after hours. That's what we got it for. I see its purpose now.
The pillars. I want to talk about the pillars real quick. So MJF made a statement. He talked about the 4 pillars of AEW. There's 4 wrestlers. And let me go ahead and bring it's well, I don't know if offhand. It's MJF, it's Darby Allin, it's Jungle Boy, and then it's who's the 4th one? Who am I missing here? There's one more.
Guevara.
Sammy Guevara, thank you. The new TNT champion.
You almost had me worried. I was like,
oh, look, man.
Come on, finish strong, sir.
So, first of all, I think, okay, it's cool that he's naming them and he's like dubbing them the 4 pillars of AEW. I think that's cool. I'm curious how, you guys feel about, because it's not like it totally came out of nowhere, but I don't feel like they've necessarily built it this way. I feel like it's really been about Cody and, the elite and all that. And when MJF said that, I'm like, man, that's really cool. But, is this something where, okay, going forward now, we're going to start looking at them as the core, the heart, the soul of AEW. And so I guess just to kind of make this a more succinct thing, a more succinct question, how do we feel that they've done so far in truly establishing these 4 as the pillars of AEW?
I think that, well, of course, because they just started the company, they had to stick with people who we're familiar with. So, Cody and the Young Bucks and the Elite and everything like that, and Chris Jericho are names that we're all familiar with to try to drag people in. Because we see with NXT 2.0, you give us a bunch of new faces. It's like, we don't know who to connect to. Why should I care about all these new people? And I think with AEW, they kind of did it right, because a lot of people felt some type of way that Chris Jericho won the title first. And I'm like, well, it makes sense because nobody knows who Hangman Page is. But if you hear Chris Jericho, oh, I know Chris Jericho, let me go check that out. Right. I think that as far as the 4 pillars, they're the 4 who helped grow the quote unquote, AEW originals. So whereas though, we were drawn in with Chris Jericho, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Cody Rhodes, MJF, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, and Sammy Guevara are the reason why we're still staying. Because, a lot of the older talent, the people who are already established, they can only carry the company for so long. It's like, okay, Young Bucks, the Elite, they can't show up to every single event. They can't, be on TV all the time, or else you get the kind of like the same situation that we've seen with Raw before they did the split, how it, the show used to start and finish with Seth Rollins. And while everyone loves Seth Rollins, it's like, okay, after a certain point, you kind of get tired of seeing the same person or people over and over and over again. And you kind of need to build up younger talent or, names that people haven't heard before. So you're like, oh, snap, I like this person. And I think during the pandemic, these 4 are the ones that really established themselves and made names of themselves. Of course, Jungle Boy, he is sought after. with CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole. They all named Jungle Boy. They all named Darby Allin. Darby Allin, became so popular with everyone. All the kids are painting their half their faces and everything like that. MJF, one of the best heels in wrestling. He can really take you there and just make you go like, I think you crossed the line.
Hey,
there
bro, right. Watch
times.
yourself. Watch yourself.
Watch yourself.
Watch yourself,
and the amazing thing is he stays in character, which I like. We don't know who the actual person is. It's like, is this him 24/7 or what? Yeah. And with Sammy Guevara, like I'm a fan of Sammy Guevara because I remembered when AEW first started how he came out. And I was just like, I'm not connecting with this person, It was like, you can see that he's a high flyer and everything like that. But it's just like his look wasn't going to, he's not going to last long with the look. And for him to like, switch over to now the Spanish God and, he's very popular. He's so popular that his vlog helped someone else get signed to the company, which, that in itself is amazing. So I think with these 4 pillars, it wasn't something that was pushed. AEW didn't really push these 4 down our throats. These 4 wrestlers naturally became fan favorites. And it's very similar to, like NXT and stuff like that, how the 4 horsewomen, became fan favorites, and a lot of wrestlers who became fan favorites, so like Cesaro and stuff like that. And then for, MJF, the one who mentioned it, but AEW acknowledged it, which is something I really appreciate. They really appreciate like, yeah, we'll give these guys, their flowers and everything like that, and not just, push it under the rug, like what y'all talking about. We don't know what MJF is talking about or anything like that. So with the pandemic, these 4 wrestlers really helped the company shine and kind of give the company, multiple layers, because while everybody remembers, the heavyweight division, everything like that, a lot of people remember the cruiserweights. It kind of is, so it makes the show, flawless or, very exciting from top to bottom. You're not just waiting for the main event to happen because you don't know who these other people are on the card, or you think, okay, I don't need to see that match or anything like that. So as far as the 4 pillars, I like how they naturally became fan favorites, and that, they're being acknowledged like, hey, we have these 4 strong young talent. And, with wrestling, as we see, you can wrestle into your 60s. So it's like for these 4 to be so talented at such a young age, it's like it's going to, go from there. I mean, we see how crazy Darby Allin is with his matches. And it's like, can you imagine him 10 years from now with all the experience under his belt, especially with Sting, as his mentor? How we see Sammy Guevara coming along, MJF, it's very few people who are able to get the art of being a heel correct. It's not something that we really see that often, that like, it's just like a great heel, not just I hate this town or anything like that, but for, for someone who you just naturally boo, it's an art that's very lost. So I appreciate that. And then what I'm missing. Oh yeah, that's the 4 of them.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the 4. So I just really like how, how it's all set up, and it just makes sense, because those are the 4 people who, everyone wants to go against. Those are the people that gets named by a lot of these legends that are coming in. Like CM Punk saying he wants to wrestle you. That's an honor in itself. Like, he's not saying, oh, I want to wrestle Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes or something like that. He's like, no, I want to go after this younger talent, even though he hasn't wrestled for 7 years or anything like that. He wants to go after the fresh faces and put them over. So I love the notion of the 4 pillars. I really do.
Yeah, I think so for me, Darby really stands out, I think, the most, first off, because I feel like they've pushed him the hardest of the 4. I think MJF, as far as like self-promotion, he's been like the loudest mouthpiece and just the one that, the promo work and all that are the most memorable. But Darby, I feel like, from Cody, to having the TNT championship matchups with him, to Sting aligning himself with them, to CM Punk wanting to face him first, like that, it really feels like Darby, they see someone who can be like the face of everything for them in the future. So I feel like Darby definitely has gotten, to me, the strongest push. I think Jungle Boy has naturally just kind of gotten people to care and love him without even having like a championship or anything, and really not saying much. It's just his presence. Like people have just kind of fallen in love with his character and just, you know, his growth as a wrestler. You know, you see him, and in each match, it seems like he's adding new moves and doing something new that you're like, wow, like what? Jungle Boy just did this. The last show I saw, I was scared though for him because he went over the top rope and did this Hurricane Rana to the outside, and it looked like he was about to fall flat on his back. And for a half second, I was just like, "Oh no, we just lost Jungle Boy." But you know, then he made it. I was like, "Oh, thank God, come on now." So, but yeah, man, he has this charisma about him with very little words. Just, you know, just his effort, you know, and just, you know, just the way he is, man. He just seems like a nice kid. He's grown into a really well-rounded, you know, wrestler overall. That's just awesome to see. You know, and then with I said MJF already. I mean, that man, he knows one way or another. You know, they always talk about you just want people to give a shit, whether they love you or they hate you. You know, with MJF,
you get a reaction.
He gets a reaction. You know, he gets a reaction. So, you know, definitely MJF has done his job. With Sammy, he's the one where I felt like for a while there, it was kind of touch and go. I wasn't sure. Obviously, with the Panda, I was like, what is all this? And then he got within a circle, and it's like, okay, right. You know, Jericho takes him under his wing, you know, and it's like, all right, cool. But I still feel like even in the inner circle, he didn't really, I wouldn't have said, okay, he's like a future franchise player at that point yet. But there was something that happened during this whole Pinnacle inner circle warfare where Sammy started to stand out a little bit more. And I felt myself, you know, rooting for Sammy and wanting to see more Sammy and wanting Sammy to stand out more. And, you know, it's like since then, I just feel like he's kind of taken off too. And now, I mean, the timing of all this with him winning the TNT championship and then MJF stating this, it's like, oh, yeah, that's perfect. Like Sammy clearly now having, you know, being one of the guys who's actually won a championship now in this group that they're calling the Four Pillars, it makes him stand out to where he's actually, I mean, he's more successful than MJF, you know, like MJF's never won a title, you know, you know, it's just one of those things. So Sammy's doing his thing. They're all doing their thing. I think it's been, it's interesting to label them this, and I see why. They're young. They're, you know, the future of the company. It makes a lot of sense. And now I'm wanting them to, okay, you stated it. You put it on wax, you know, so let's develop this, you know, let's make sure that we don't let them get lost in the shuffle with some of the new guys we're bringing in from WWE and everywhere else, you know, like I love what Bryan Danielson's doing. I love what CM Punk is doing. I think what they're doing is perfect the way it is. You know, now there's some other names that are getting ready to come in too that, you know, they keep rumoring. It's like, okay, you know, like we're starting to get a little full here. So I just don't want them to get lost in the shuffle because those four guys really do have a lot of potential, as with some other wrestlers too that I feel like, I mean, you know, Scorpio Sky, we talk about a lot on the show on how he should be, you know, in this conversation, but he's not, you know, so hopefully they can turn that around. You know, so we'll see. But with those four, I think they're doing their thing, and I want to see them keep building on that. Devin, man, what's your thoughts on this?
I think everybody made strong points here about talking to four pillars. What I see from MJF, he's smart as hell to just future-proof their career, especially when you have all these ex-WWEs coming in, somewhat overshadowing the four pillars. And he was smart enough to name them that and dub them that, future-proofing their careers. Maybe eventually, you know, as they got all this experience, maybe 5-10 years to your point, Jaydee, they become a full faction. You know, you might see Jungle Boy in a, you know, short hair, You know, he got a fucking suit on now. Totally different from where he came from. Not even going Jungle Boy. Jungle Man or just not just man or something. I don't know. Shit, just a new name. Shit.
Man. Here it is. Man.
Damn, that's man, boy. Wait, watch out for man.
The character right there.
Man right there. That's who you're talking to. No Jungle Boy. He's a man.
Man.
But I like how each of these young cats each has like a strong accolade tied to their name. You look at MJF, he's been booked perfect, cold-blooded heel. You know, calling out Brian Pillman Jr., calling his mom Methany. I'm like, bro, work or not. Motherfucker, as soon as he get backstage, I'm cocking you, bro. I'm cocking you. I'm sorry.
About
Tony Khan, you already know what's up. Hey.
The Darby comment, you know.
Yeah.
Died. Like,
you should have died when your uncle. I'm like, hold on, what?
Oh, man.
What the fuck are we talking about? I'm looking this up and shit. I'm like, oh, shit.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. But, you know, like I said, when I said about strong accolade tied to their name, you look at MJF, that accolade he has with Cody. Cody can't even get the AEW championship anymore. He is beneath with that shit. He's regulated TNT and TNT only. Unless they come up with his own, unless he come up and create his own belt. You know what I'm saying?
Cody.
Right.
It's the Cody.
Cody's belt.
It's the EVP belt.
Right.
And you look at Jungle Boy, you know, the first AEW of the Rock to get 50 wins. You know, and you look at, you know, Sammy Guevara, and you look at him, man, he beat Miro for the TNT championship. You know, that is fucking bananas, bro. You know, and I that caught me off guard. I ain't see it coming. I thought Miro was just gonna have a dominant run for a while. You know, he's just gonna be busy with that. You know, just knocking off these fresh bloods. But nah, he put Sammy over, and I just. And then Darby Allin, he's tied with Sting, and then he had the accolade of taking the first match for AEW CM Punk return when he came back. I was like, dude, he named you. You get to have his first match with him coming back 7 years from the game, missing.
Said,
and said he don't want to. He don't want to face him anymore. He said he don't want to face him anymore. Barely survived. He said, which I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Another strong accolade tied, man. So MJF is certainly right. He is calculated to what he's doing, but he is certainly right when he's talking about the four pillars. You know, I never looked at them as that until he said it. He put the spotlight back on them, you know, because we're all enjoying the returns, the Adam Coles, the Bryan Danielsons, all these dream matches, but he's like, hold up, us, the core, you know, the organic core of AEW. That's us. We are the four pillars, and I love that he's standing on it 10 toes down. So hell yeah, I'm with it.
Yeah, man. Awesome statement. You know, just had to bring up that discussion just to see where we're standing with that, because I heard it and I was like, man, that's a strong statement to make about those four. So dissecting and looking at it, it's like, yeah, you can see why he's saying it. Makes a lot of sense, and I'm very excited to see the future for those four young men. So definitely looking forward to that. All right, now let's shift gears to the women's side of wrestling, okay, a little bit. All right, now we've got just a range of emotions going on when it comes to what is happening right now in women's wrestling, because there's some great things going on, and then there's some stuff that makes you say, So let's get into it a little bit. So on the AEW side, we've got the TBS Championship. It was unveiled. The championship itself looks beautiful. Right. Love the belt. Looks great. Amazing.
Bigger than the AEW.
It's bigger.
I'm like, hold up.
Yeah. Wait a minute. It's like the same size as the TNT championship, man. Yeah, it should be, but what the hell's going on with the AEW with the championship?
Redesign.
Exactly.
Oh, man. But so the TBS Championship, and we had a couple people throw their name in the ring for that. You know, Ruby Soho, Thunder Rosa, you know, Jade Cargill, talking about that bitch show is what she's gonna be, saying now. Which I don't know about all that, but I need to put some praise out to AEW from the standpoint of it's nice to see them highlighting women's wrestling and putting this new belt out there, this new championship out there for the women's division to shine. I'm hoping still that we get more on Dynamite 2-hour show, that we get more than one women's match. Especially since we're gonna have more than one women's championship. Let's get at least two for a 2-hour show, please. So, hoping for that still. But I think this right here, this was a good sign, to see like, hey, all right, we're gonna, put our brains together. Let's come up with something fresh and new for the women's division, this TBS championship, so I think that's awesome. So I'm really digging that. On the flip side, we've got in WWE, we've got this Queen's Crown tournament, the women's version of the King of the Ring tournament. All right, so this is where we moan and groan a little bit because, okay, at first, I'm excited. All right, we're going to crown a Queen of the Ring, Queen's Crown. We're going to do this thing. I'm seeing the brackets. I'm like, okay, there's some names missing here, but
it's a bit short, but okay.
Yeah, we'll roll with this. Let's see what happens. And then you start watching the matches. And these matches, you start watching, you're looking at your watch, looking at the time, like, wait, it's over? Toni Storm being beaten in 2 minutes.
Oh, let me reply this text. Hold on, what I missed? What?
The match is over. Nice.
I was just replying to text. Huh?
I blinked my eyes.
I don't get it. So multiple matches in the Queen of the Ring tournament are just super short, and even the booking and like the decisions they're making around who's winning these matches, it just compounds my frustration with what's going on with this whole tournament. I mean, all the momentum in the world has been with Liv Morgan right now, and for her to lose to Carmella, a person she's beaten multiple times already, and to be beaten as quick as she was made no sense. It was like, what are you guys thinking? The fans are here for it. The pre-show match that she had at the last pay-per-view, the fans you could hear them chanting for Liv. They were for Liv. And now you're going to go from that to, in this tournament now, she gets beaten in 2 minutes by Carmella, who she's already beaten? What are we doing? What are we doing?
It's like March Madness all over again. Everybody's bracket got busted after this.
Oh my goodness!
Like in the first round.
In the first
round.
I don't get it. So now we got Zelina Vega and Carmella going against each other in the next one, which I'm like, that matchup doesn't sound right. Like, why are these two going against each other?
Yeah.
And we could have had Toni Storm and Liv Morgan. Like, y'all, come on. Come on. So what's happening here? Somebody help me, or I don't know. Like, what make some sense out of this, please.
So I'm gonna let Jaydee go first, but I just want to mention the times for context.
Oh my God.
So the listeners and the viewers know exactly what the fuck Hafiz is talking about and why you hear the frustration in his voice, and you see the visuals from myself and Jaydee. So here we go. Zelina versus Toni. 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Zelina goes over.
Toni Storm, former women's NXT UK champion. All right, she's going toe-to-toe with the best in the world.
There you go. Get the full context. Get the full context, sir. There you go.
Doesn't count. NXT doesn't count.
It doesn't count, right? It's not canon. At this point, it's not canon.
2.0.
Throw all that out, right? Oh, my God.
No longer canon.
Carmella versus Liv. 1 minute and 46 seconds.
No heel tactics used. That was clean.
Clean.
Shayna Baszler versus Dana. 1 minute and 21 seconds.
Now, honestly, that one, I mean, Shayna Baszler, the way she is, it's just they've been real disrespectful to Dana Brooke already. So I'm not really surprised with that one. But
still, it's a pattern. It is a pattern.
It's a pattern. It is.
Dewdrop.
Yeah, go ahead.
Versus Natalia. 2 minutes and 55 seconds. These 4 matches total combined over 7 minutes.
That's crazy. That's
Goldberg
crazy.
went longer than that.
Goldberg matches.
Goldberg matches lasted longer than that.
Goldberg matches.
All of them.
Yes.
All the Goldberg matches.
Go longer than
one Goldberg match greater than the Queen of the Ring first round tournament.
Yeah.
Unacceptable, sir. What are we doing? But JD, go ahead. I just want to get full context, but go ahead.
I mean, there was people that made the argument, and it's true. When King of the Ring was around back in the day, a lot of the first round matches were short. However, this is the first Queen of the Ring tournament. It is a reach. Because I was like, well, back then, it was a lot more to the bracket. A lot of these matches were, it would be like Undertaker versus like someone like he could easily beat in 2 minutes, which made sense. But as you went on, of course, the matches got longer and longer because it's less matches that they had to fit in the show. These are 2 matches into a 3-hour show and a 2-hour show. And it's like a minute and something, it's like, this is the first Queen of the Ring, women's revolution and everything. Do we have to play back the audio or something? Do we have to start hashtagging again? Mm-hmm. It's just like, you can get, and I'm sure if we look back, there was a stupid promo that was over way too long that they could have definitely cut down or cut out and gave these women more time. And it's just like, it's frustrating because some of these women, they were very popular before all this. Shayna Baszler, Dewdrop. Yeah. I remember when Zelina Vega was pretty popular. Liv Morgan was pretty popular. You had Natalia, who, she's a 3rd generation superstar. Yeah. She's legacy, and she gets constantly treated with these short matches are kind of like put on the back burner. It's like, if you want, especially with this whole NXT 2.0, if you want a generation of wrestlers, if you want to like keep the if you want to keep the interest going with these women, you got to give them the time. They're talented. Like with AEW, and they have the talent is there, but because a lot of these women are so new, it's like the matches aren't as fluid as we see sometimes with WWE. And I'm very happy with on AEW's side when they went to New York, the Britt Baker and Ruby Riott main evented, which is not something that the fans didn't have to hashtag it. The fans didn't have to ask for it. It was given to us. Like, hey, this is our biggest show. We had, Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson open the show so that these women can close it, which, I give props to it. Was it a 5-star match? No, but, at least it's there. The quality of these matches are coming because with a lot of these women in AEW, this is the biggest audiences they had to work in front of. They're getting used to each other's styles. It could be they're not used to, having to deal with promos and stuff like that. And so, because people point out what happened with Red Velvet and how when she did that moonsault, she almost she almost broke her neck. Yeah. And it's like, you got to understand, she's very new. Like, even with Anna Jay, it was like her, 7th match, professional wrestling. It's just like a lot of these women are new to wrestling and they're kind of like still learning. 2 to 3 years, we'll be talking about the women's division in AEW. But with WWE, these women are already established.
You got that excuse, right?
You don't got the excuse. These women are established. These women have been around each other. How many times has Liv Morgan and Carmella fought each other? You can say, Natalia and Dewdrop, this is their first time, facing each other. But Natalia has the experience that she can work. Should be able to work with as many different talent. These matches should have gone 5 minutes. 5 minutes at least,
at least. I mean,
it's the first round. I get it. you kind of want to like get it over and done with. But with the men's side, I'm sure if we look up those times, there definitely wasn't a minute and a half.
Yeah.
There definitely wasn't under 3 minutes.
Right.
Exactly.
Damn, okay.
Right.
The commercials in the men's matches was longer than these women's matches. So it's just like, it just gets frustrating because WWE is established. WWE's been around for over 30 years. And in 2021, we're still having problems with booking and time management, which is the craziest thing. We should be able, if you want to do this women's wrestling and, you don't think AEW is competition or anything like that, then show us how that they're not competition. Show us we got the best women's division in wrestling. Give them time to, show the whole world what they're made of. Because, especially with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan has gotten a lot of momentum from the fans for a very long time. Yeah. And for her to be taken out in the first round, like,
I'll tell you right now,
it's deflating.
I was hoping that Charlotte was going to be in the Queen of the Ring tournament, and that she would end up facing Liv Morgan in the final. And win or lose, it would be great because Liv would be able to go against Charlotte one-on-one in a matchup like that.
She gets the rub from it.
She gets
and
the
that's
rub,
a great
right?
Story.
And it pays off when Liv left WWE for a while because she said the next time, because it was the whole Shane McMahon brought everybody out and was like, hey, I heard people have grievances, so I'm going to give you a moment. And then Charlotte was speaking, then Liv Morgan got on the mic, was talking to her. And then they had that match, and Liv lost. She was crying. She said, "Next time you see me, it's gonna be real." And we're still kind of, not really paying that off.
Nah.
Yeah. But imagine if here it's like, okay, now she's worked her way all the way up to this moment to go against Charlotte for the Queen of the Ring, for this brand new tournament they made for the women. Which Charlotte is the queen. She calls herself the queen. She wants the crown, right? But they're not doing that. Like,
exactly.
What is going on?
I don't
Which is
get
crazy.
It. I don't get it.
WWE is all about storylines.
Yes.
And it's like you could easily create a storyline with this. The fans would have went along. It is. Like even the casuals like Liv Morgan. Like you could have easily had built it up. You can get some t-shirts off of this, for crying out loud. Make some money off of this. And have Liv Morgan become that underdog that, we all love to have in wrestling. But it's just like, nope, we got different plans. It's like, so what are we getting from having Zelina Vega versus Carmella? Like, what are we getting from
nothing.
This?
And they're the same size, and it was a short match. I don't make sense to me. It's
exactly. It's just like I thought Charlotte was going to be in it too, because I'm like, oh, Queen of the Ring. She could, promos she can pull out.
Yeah, she wants all the gold. She was just talking about she wanted to be double champion again. Come on,
exactly.
She's greedy. Make it make sense. She could have been like, and I'm going to be in Queen of the Ring tournament, and I'm gonna be the first Queen of the Ring. I'm gonna get it all.
And she wants to one up everyone. You can one up Becky Lynch with being Queen Charlotte 2 belts.
Oh my!
Like you could have easily because with King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring, it works so well with a heel. I'm like, you could have easily had done that. You can have, if it was Charlotte versus Liv Morgan, you can have Charlotte easily do a heel finish. It could have easily been done. Everybody been mad about Liv Morgan, but we would have been okay because that happened over in Saudi. You could bring it back to America, the next pay-per-view, and have Liv win over clean, or even have her have some type of help or backup or something like that. Maybe have Doudrop, back her up for whatever reason, and have her come over clean. Like, it's just like so many things they could easily do, but I'm not like, I would love to be in their creative team's meeting to like see like where are we going with this? Like, there's so many things they could have done. Even with the men's side, we could have had Kofi versus Xavier Woods.
Oh man, yeah, that would have been
right. They was teasing that because Kevin was being an asshole. Like, hey, let me ask Xavier Woods. Hey, what would happen if you guys faced each other?
And like, that would have made it more exciting because they refused to answer the question. Now they have to answer the question, and that would have been a great match. They don't have to be face and heel like WWE loves to do. it could easily been two friends, shake hands in the beginning, may the best guy win. They could be friends afterwards, a friendly competition. It happens a lot. It's like for some reason, WWE is just like scared to do something like that. The New Day can still exist after they faced each other. Like you can have all three members of the New Day face each other and they could still be friends afterwards. It's not no hard feelings. They can sit there and shake their heads. You don't have to do the finger poke of doom like people were thinking might have happened. You can have an actual good, big match on Monday Night Raw and have the two guys come out in the end. But it's just like with the women's tournament, it's just like almost like made fun of. It's just like a parody almost at this point. And it's just like frustrating because we don't have the NXT women's division anymore because we're getting all these new faces and stuff. And we don't have, Asuka. We don't even have Io Shirai really because she's in the tag team. She's in the tag team now. And so we're missing like, a lot of these women that like made the women's division special. And you could have easily had brought on women into this tournament and put on really good matches because we'll be talking about this for the rest of wrestling history. The first women's Queen of the Ring.
Oh my God, that is a strong
and this is
point.
What history is going to say. Their matches were all under 3 minutes. Goldberg lasted longer than these women's matches. And we all and everyone makes fun of how short his matches are. And it's like, well, the women's Queen's tournament, the women's Queen tournament was shorter than that, which is really a shame. It's truthfully a slap in the face of the women who's in it because they're being told you only have this much time and they have to like pull out a good match and a story out of 1 minute and 30 seconds, which you can't do. I mean, the only thing you could do is like, okay, we'll do these 5 moves. Here's the finish. And so it kind of takes away how special the Queen's crown would be. And I have a feeling Carmella's going to win all this, which is like, it would make no sense.
Beautiful person in the world.
Exactly. And it's just like, it makes no sense. It's just like the whole Lacey Evans thing all over again when they just really trying to push someone as a heel or just really trying to push a narrative that isn't natural or just don't make sense right now. But it's just frustrating because they have the talent and it's women in this tournament that definitely aren't in there. Naomi, it's a lot of names in there that they could have added in here, like, Charlotte and stuff like that. Yeah. You can have like,
Rhea Ripley. She can get in.
You could have Rhea Ripley, Nikki, ASH. Yeah. Like it's a lot of different women. You could even had Eva Marie in this. And, you could have added, it's just like, it was all rushed. So
because they didn't have Shotzi in there.
Nope. Tegan Knox.
Nope. Tegan Knox.
Tegan,
Tamina, nope.
What are they there for then? What's going on?
Like they knew that this was coming along, and normally with the King of the Ring tournaments, it's just like it's a couple of weeks long. So they could have had the bracket a lot wider. You could have put all your women into this, kind of like give them, a bit of rust off because when was the last time we saw Naomi wrestle?
Right.
When was the last time we really seen people like go in a match? They could have extended this out because this is their first Queen of the Ring, make it special, extend it out, whatever. You could add some of the NXT women in there, throw some of them in there.
Maybe some of the legends.
I mean, I wouldn't have
been
been
mad. Some of the legends as well.
If they would have paused, because they're doing this triple threat match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. But I mean, you could have just paused that for a second, just build around this tournament and throw, Sasha, Becky, Bianca into this tournament too. And then have like the final 4 at Crown Jewel, if you want to really hype it up and say this is a WrestleMania type event, have two like the 4 of the top women facing off against each other to finish it off over there at Crown Jewel. I mean, there's so much here that just doesn't. It just I don't get it. I don't get the mindset. It's like an afterthought. It's like the whole thing. They just kind of
it's beneath them, man. They build up a women's division that's just so stupid fucking strong. And you take a huge drastic back step. Like it was insulting to the women, and I was super pissed when I saw the end result of each match for the first round. I'm like, how dare y'all, man? Like for real. And I'm surprised, like, I didn't see I ain't see really too much of a uproar, like some hashtagging, just a little bit, but I want to see it when it first came, when you guys want to generate that first evolution, when you hashtag give women a chance, like that Queen of the Ring needs to be booked better. It was just a disgrace. I was super pissed, didn't like it at all. You could have filled that roster. You could have had Sonya Deville enter it because she feeling herself. She in the GM role.
Yeah.
You like, and then have Naomi meet somewhere in the bracket. Come on, man.
They all could have been in there.
Get us in the creative team roam. Just get us in there right now.
Seriously.
Instant transmission us right there. I want to go.
Man,
damn. And
I think
kind of go off of your point. You could have had, Becky, Sasha, and Bianca in there in the tournament. Maybe have Sasha take out Bianca Belair, or have Bianca take out, Becky. Had them get out in the first round even, and work that feud into the tournament. They could have easily, like you said, had Sonya Deville in there. They could have brought legends, treat it like it was the Royal Rumble or this women's evolution. You could have brought back a Bella or two. You could have brought back the legends.
Trish Stratus.
You could have brought back Trish, Lita. You could have had some of the NXT women in there. You could have brought women from NXT UK. You could have really had this drawn out and, extended this out. This should have been a tournament that lasted for 6 weeks. Something you could easily
we should have got a pay-per-view for it. We just make it Queen
make it
ring,
its own,
like it used to be.
Exactly. And
like
you just have full of matches, and you just have it decided right there in the main event for both the men's and women's division. That's what it should have been. It was just like I said, man. I didn't like it. It should have been booked better. You had the pieces right there. It's just lazy, quick as we need to get this done.
Last minute type of stuff, right?
Exactly,
there.
Exactly. When you got AEW just coming out with this good talent. Now, to your point about the women's division, Jaydee, I will push back a little bit. That when you say when you mention the names about Red Velvet
or the AEW women's division,
right, because when MJF made a point about the 4 pillars, you have a core right there. You could build around for the AEW women's division. You could have Sheeta, Nyla Rose, Big Swole, Thunder Rosa, even Diamante. I could throw in there as well, and you could just have them hold it down as you're developing
Serena Deeb,
yes.
Rio, and you could just have them just build around these women, that let them be the core as you develop the younger talent as they're coming in, the less experience, so they can gain experience. But right now, just focus on the core, and I think they had an opportunity that they missed. So that's why I would say I would just push back on that. But I do accept that they debuted a new TBS title for the women. That's cool. I got fingers crossed with this generate more matches though. Hopefully it would generate more matches for the women, especially when you got a beautiful title for that new for the new women's division.
It shows promise. It shows promise that there at least we got something. It's not like, sorry, we because I don't know if it's a rumor or if it's true that it's the network that's forcing them to do one match on Dynamite or something. They could have easily sorry, one match, check out the YouTube show if you want to see more women's matches. It's at least we got this second title. They're showing we know we are messing up. Let's try to work on this. We'll build this up. And you do have a point of them, with the pillars and stuff like that. One of the things I really like that AEW does is that they bring in these veterans and these legends to help out the younger talent. Like we see with Sting. Sting could have easily went after the AEW championship. He could have easily been main eventing and everything like that, on every pay-per-view. But instead, he's stepping back and letting Darby Allin shine. I mentioned it, I caught it when they went to put up his hand and he took his hand down, took a step back, and he started pointing at Darby Allin. I was that's so much that it takes for you as big of a legend as you are to decide to take yourself out of the spotlight that you could easily be in just for someone else to take the spotlight. So I think with Ruby Riott coming in and, Serena Deeb and a lot of these other women who have experience either being in front of a camera or have enough experience in the ring to help out a lot of these women. What's the new girl that they signed? I think her name is Sky Blue or something like that.
Sky Blue. Yep.
Yeah, you can easily help women like her, get comfortable in front of a camera, get comfortable in front of a crowd, because when you're nervous, if you're nervous, stuff like that, you're not ready to cut promos, it'll show and it'll definitely harm your reputation. Fans won't connect to you like that. So I really love the fact with AEW is very similar to what they did in NXT, where they take a lot of these legends and they're helping out the next generation to be like, hey, I know, I could easily get a title match. I could easily main event Dynamite or Rampage and whatnot, but let me help you out for a second. Won't you have a match with me? Let me help you out, get comfortable and stuff like that. So I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the fact they got this second title and they're doing this tournament stuff because it's showing promise. And I figured once they move to TBS, it's very possible we may see more matches with the women and stuff like that, that it could be the rumor is true that it is TNT that's saying one women's match on Dynamite or something like that, once they switch over to TBS, we'll be seeing 2 or 3 women's matches and stuff and, have a more of a rotation of a lot of the different female feuds and stuff like that to make it feel just as exciting as it was with NXT. Because now, it's wide open of who can have the best women's division because NXT women's division is no longer there. It's gone now. So we don't have 2.0. We don't have it. With Lash Legend.
Oh my God. Nah.
No.
Oh my gosh.
I ain't talking about that.
It's like wide open now of, it's the opportunity now to take over as the number 1 women's division to kind of, and especially with AEW having this forbidden door, you can have a lot of women, what they were doing in the beginning with the Jossie women, have them come over and, face a lot of the different women and give a lot of these younger stars more experience, pick up, learn some lessons from different women. Hey, I like that moveset she did. Let me kind of tweak it, try to tweak my moveset and stuff like that. So I feel as though, even though, AEW women's division is not where it's at right now, I feel confident enough, in 2 to 3 years, I think it'll be solid because while they have, trouble and stuff like that, as far as, because some of these matches they threw on that YouTube show that could definitely have been on AEW Dynamite. But I feel as though the awareness is there, they know that they're messing up, that, what they got to figure things out, as they kind of been doing with their show period. And maybe in 2 to 3 years that, their women's division will be built up strong enough to compete with any women's division.
I guess we gotta be patient, huh?
I know. we gotta be patient.
Be patient.
It's the same thing with NXT. When NXT women's division, the way when NXT first came out to, 2-3 years ago, it's like night and day. It took a while for those women to be built up. And then them, bringing women in from other promotions, Asuka and stuff like that, and Candice LeRae, and just building up, that division for the women to get to know each other, know who they're really good feuding with, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, when they when they started feuding each other, it was magic.
Yep.
And it kind of reminds me of, different women's divisions that we had, in NXT and how that flowed to the main roster with the 4 horsewomen. So that's why I'm confident that as long as they know that they have issues and they are willing to work on it and not just be we're the big company, we don't gotta listen to our fans, you take it as it is. If we give you 1 women's match, deal with it type of situation. I like the fact that they at least know that they messed up. Kenny Omega mentioned, we're really bad for our women's division. Yeah. And I like that. If you're able to acknowledge, even though we're a big company, you'll watch us anyway type of situation that, we're willing to accept that, you're upset about this, let's work on it type of situation. And that's why I'm very patient with AEW because I'm they only been around 3 years, whereas though with WWE, they've been around for 30 years. So I'm like, I'm very more patient with AEW because they're still new. They're still like figuring things out. This is like one of the first companies that's like really promising in a very long time. And so I feel as though like they need to like figure out what their sweet spot is. And then just like once they find that sweet spot with the women's division, with their major wrestlers, their rotations, so that we're not seeing the same thing over and over again, that I think that they're going to shoot up to the star.
Yeah, we will see, the TBS championship definitely is a step in the right direction. And, that roster, in my eyes, there's a lot of great talent there.
Yeah.
So they have a core that, they can use to help establish the women's division, to give some of the newer people someone to work with that can help guide them to just put on better and better matches, hopefully sooner rather than later. I think that's what we all want. Us three sitting here, we want that women's division to thrive, to get better and better and better. So they have the pieces in place. Let's see how it evolves. Now the next thing, sticking with WWE a little bit though, the draft. We haven't talked about the draft yet, so just kind of a quick rundown on the draft a little bit and how some of these picks went. So obviously, number one pick overall, we the ones, Tribal Chief, head of the table.
Acknowledge him.
God's new favorite champion, even though they don't really talk about that.
That's right. You said it right, though. You said it right. God's favorite champion.
God's new favorite champion. Sorry, Miro. Sorry.
Right after you lost, that's why you no longer God's favorite champion. You lost, bro.
You lost it. You lost it. Sammy Guevara. Someone's following him at that.
Right. Lost to a Spanish guy, man.
Lost to a Spanish guy.
Roman Reigns, number one pick. Big E to Raw. Charlotte Flair to SmackDown. Bianca Belair to Raw, switching brands there. Drew McIntyre switching brands to SmackDown. We got RK Bro to Raw. New Day to SmackDown. A lot of boos when that one happened. Edge to Raw. Happy Corbin stays on SmackDown. Tag team champions Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley stay on Raw. Hit Row go over to SmackDown from NXT with the call up. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We had Keith Bearcat Lee staying on Raw. Naomi begrudgingly picked by Sonya Deville to stay on SmackDown. Mysterio family sticking together but going to Raw from SmackDown. Jeff Hardy promising a new look over on SmackDown. We'll see. We might get another persona, if you will, from Jeff Hardy. Yeah, and then Johnny Gargano's son, Austin Theory, moving over to Raw.
Look his son.
Doing his father proud too, winning his first match, man. Yeah. His first match on Raw.
Took a selfie and
he
lost his daughter to Dexter Loomis. And now he gotta watch his son get taken too.
Taken to Raw. It is what it is. They gotta leave sometime, So it is what it is. That second night of the draft, we have Becky Lynch, the number one pick to Raw. Usos staying to SmackDown, which good for Paul Heyman because he was a marked man. If this did not happen, he was done. Usos had the order, leave him for dead.
Luckily wore dark pants, man.
Yeah.
Woo, yeah.
Luckily wore dark pants. I mean, great acting from
there. Oh my God. Brilliant acting. He got me nervous. He got me nervous. I'm gonna speak up. What you stuttering for?
I'm like, oh,
don't do that.
Extreme. Keep it extreme, man.
Right. Extreme tears is what he had.
Oh man.
Please.
I was like, darn, we got Ike and Tina up in here, man. Like,
I love you too, Tribal Chief.
Eat the cake, anime. Eat the cake. Like, oh my God. I'm seeing like Paul, just cake on, man. Just put on the performance.
Usos on SmackDown. Paul, you're welcome. We got the Hurt Business staying on Raw. Still need an explanation for why they're back together, but they are still on Raw. Sasha Banks stays on SmackDown. Seth Rollins moves over to Raw. The Monday Night Messiah returns to Monday Night Raw. We've got Shinsuke Nakamura, who he recently abdicated the crown, no longer king. So just Shinsuke Nakamura with Rick Boogs over on SmackDown. Damian Priest, your United States champion, is still on Raw. Sheamus on SmackDown. AJ and Omos on Raw. Shayna Baszler moving to SmackDown. Kevin Owens moving to Raw for now. We don't know if he's going to stay in the company. So, but he's there. Xia Li with the call up. Yeah. Xia Li with the call up from NXT to SmackDown. Street Profits making the move to Raw. We've got the Viking Raiders, who I just feel like I haven't really seen them on TV all that much. But they're on SmackDown now.
They didn't get paid. Really?
This one was interesting for me. Finn Balor over to Raw. So now finally, finally, Devin knows where I'm going with this. Finally, Finn Balor and AJ Styles are on the same show. If we do not get a feud between those two,
man,
I'm going to be pissed.
We did it.
I would be pissed for you.
I need this. I need a feud and I need a partnership at some point. Let's just come on. Let's make this happen.
Pay-per-view. It has to be pay-per-view.
Right.
Do not give it to us for free. Make us pay the $6 for it. Like seriously.
Give it to us.
With the good connection though.
With the good connection, right?
Yes, good connection. Don't be chopping. Right. Next thing you see, Finn Balor, he does in his pose, and you see him stop, and then all of a sudden he's in a ring,
Make sure
getting ready to too sweet.
Like what? Make sure the antennas turned the right way during that match.
Oh my goodness, I'll be so
just watch the replay.
Oh, man.
Replay is flawless.
Don't even mess around with the live.
Right.
If not trustworthy.
If you don't want your experience fucked up, watch the replay. The replay of the cot is cool. That's when it's flawless. Yeah. The replay.
100%. We have Ricochet moving over to SmackDown. Hopefully change is good for that man. Karrion Kross staying on Raw. Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, the two most handsome men from Raw,
they're
handsome.
SmackDown.
Too much handsome for SmackDown.
Abs and dimples. Hey, I get it.
They're going over to SmackDown. Alexa Bliss stays on Raw. Cesaro stays on SmackDown. We've got Carmella moving over to Raw. I just realized she went over to Raw. I forgot all about that. Yeah, Carmella's on Raw. Carmella's on Raw now.
It fits. She fits Raw.
Oh yeah. That's Corey Graves.
And Corey Graves is there too. That's true. I forget. Rich Holland getting the call up and going over to SmackDown. Some people that I were talking to was saying LA Knight they were hoping was going to get called up and all this, but it didn't happen. So,
that made more sense with him.
Yeah, than Rich
very
Holland.
Established.
It's
killer
weird.
on the mic. Like he's just ready to go.
Like just go ahead and make the move already. Seriously,
book events. Shit, random ass story. Let's go. Let's do it, man.
Raw gets an Olympic gold medalist in Gable Steveson. He's going over to Raw, and then Sami Zayn was the final pick on air for SmackDown.
Mr. Irrelevant. He will have something to say about that.
He did have something to say.
He
did have something to say.
Oh man. And then, they had the supplemental. We won't go through all of those, but, some tag teams were split up there. It's kind of like weird. Shotzi and Tegan Nox are no longer a tag team. I feel like they were just getting established, and now they're no more. So that's weird. But, and then Asuka, she's injured. She's not drafted. She doesn't have a show. So she's a free agent, as well as Brock Lesnar.
Thanks to Paul.
Thanks to Paul Heyman. My friend. He was like, my friend.
He enunciated.
Paul, right.
He turned the Paul Heyman on there.
It's the reason why I'm a free agent.
The advocate.
Oh,
I was like, shit.
So, the draft, it's always interesting because, first of all, they do those picks where, some people stay on the same show, but they make a draft pick. But it's like, well, then should we maybe be not like, I don't know. It's always kind of a little bit awkward when they're doing those picks, but it's still a fun event overall. I feel like I'm as much as I may be like, sighing and be like, okay, they're doing this. But once it starts happening, I don't know. I just get excited, be like, okay, who's moving where? And this guy moved, that guy moved. So, it was a fun show overall. I'm excited to see Drew get the move to SmackDown. I feel like that one was a much needed move for him. He needs that change of scenery so bad. It just makes so much sense.
He will. Will he bring the Drew story time over the SmackDown?
I mean, I think he will, but I think it's going to be a joke every time, honestly.
I hope he tried it. Chief Tree is the joke. Maybe you fall asleep. Huh? Oh, shit.
Right.
What'd he say, Paul?
Bring out that missionary joke over again. Man, talking about how stale Drew McIntyre is. But yeah, man. I mean, it was a fun draft overall. Like, there was some kind of, with some of the tag teams splitting up, it's a head scratcher why they do that. But overall, I feel like some of the moves that they made me go, okay, I'm excited for Drew. I'm excited for you. I said it here already. Finn Balor with AJ Styles, really excited for that. I want to see what they do there. And then, Charlotte and Becky, those are the two champions that swapped. I'm curious how they're going to do this. Yeah. Where, I guess it makes sense. The match they have at Crown Jewel, there's, some ramifications there. We'll see how they do that. Maybe to try to get a SmackDown wrestler to have the SmackDown championship, but who knows? Because with Charlotte, all bets are off, right? Like she could hold on to it forever. It don't even matter. But were there anything that stood out for you on the draft that you kind of like were really excited about that we haven't talked about yet, or was it just kind of like, okay, it happened, it's cool, like 2 weeks, we'll see it and we'll just see what happens?
Well, what they did with Gable Stevenson was pretty funny because I'm like, they just don't know if they're trying to be the sports or the entertainment. So he got drafted. They did the full-on NFL rookie shot with him jumping up to parents and hugging and stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, he's not getting drafted to Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, man. He's not. Like I know you're excited for baby boy, but this isn't the jump up and clap. Like he already got signed to a contract.
I'm gonna
he's already been signed. Yeah. What are we cheering for that he got drafted? Like he's already been signed. That's when you show mom and dad being happy. Not he's already signed and he goes to Raw. It's like,
Curry got the check. The check is coming.
The check is signed. It's been cashed. It's in his account already. Like, when is he showing up for work? That's what they were cheering for. All right, you show up at work on Monday, son. Yeah. So that part, that like took it out. That took it away from me because I'm like, all right, this is basically the war draft rooms.
The Fox and USA,
the fake Fox staff,
the high five,
the fake USA,
the Fox NFL
some of the same some of the same repeat scenes. I'm like, I've seen that.
We play the same,
right?
The Power Rangers, are they doing right now?
Exactly. So, I mean, I liked it when, in the older drafts where they had everyone in the room together and you see them react that way. Yeah. Especially the one, of course, when you see Undertaker lower his glasses and flip off. It's like some people gotta be upset that they're leaving. Okay, some people gotta be upset. But yeah, I'm curious what they're gonna do with the two women's titles. Normally it's the IC title that that's getting switched over, but now it's like titles, sometimes the tag titles too, titles that aren't really like, it's almost like them switching Universal and the WWE Championship because the belts are colored, so it's like so is now Charlotte the SmackDown Women's Champion, and then Becky Lynch will be the the Raw Women's Champion. So it's like, or are they both going to lose the title because they're on the wrong brands? It's like, I don't know what they're going to do with this, and it's just kind of weird.
Did the New Day or what happened with New Day last year Survivor Series before they just like they switched titles. They could just do that. Just swap.
That's why I'm like, okay, well, that's what we'll do. And it's like, I don't know, because you saw it and then they had to remind everyone this happens 3 weeks later. It's just like,
they had to keep saying that. Like, come on now.
It's like, and
after Crown Jewel.
Remember,
and I'm like, why couldn't y'all push this up? A week later, have the draft after Crown Jewel,
right?
And that way it goes into effect quickly. Because now I'm confused because I'm like, wait. Why is Shayna Baszler doing this? Like, why is this person here? I thought they got drafted. Like, you kind of forget. And so they got to constantly remind us, hey, this person's coming to Raw in 2 weeks. Michael Cole got to do his, sound bite. In 2 weeks, he's coming in 2 weeks to Raw. So it's just like, got to constantly remind us of, what's going on with the draft. And, it's very exciting when they do switching over because, like, what you said with Drew McIntyre, he definitely needed to get away from Raw. He pretty much did everything he could with Raw. At least now he has, new feuds. We can go back to him versus Roman Reigns again. Yeah, he can, kind of go off and do.
He ain't ready. Just saying.
Like, he can kind of go off and do different feuds and whatnot, and give something fresh because he's been stale. I mean, he was the pandemic champion, unfortunately, and by the time the fans came back, it was like, all right, we done. Every time we see you, we think of the pandemic. We're done with the pandemic. So we want to see something fresh. So, I'm fine with that. I don't get why the New Day is split up again. I thought that when they initially split up the New Day, I'm like, all right, Big E's going to be like the more serious Big E. He's going to get that transformation since he got the singles run and go after the title. But he's still the same guy. He's still the same guy, same gear, same entrance music and everything. I mean, slightly new entrance music, but still the same thing. It's like it's no different. So it's like he could have been this way with the New Day. Exactly what they did when Kofi Kingston got the title. They were all together. The bond that they had and the friendship. They could have carried that on with Big E and made that moment when he won, that much special. And so now I'm like, okay, they got the draft. They're going to put them together again since Big E is now the Raw men's champion. But now they switched them back. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, the New Day is y'all moneymaker. Like, y'all make so much money off of their T-shirts. They come up with a new phrase or something, and they come up with different designs or something. And they're like legit friends. They have a podcast together. So it's like you're really like putting a lot of things into jeopardy. I mean, you got Xavier Woods with his YouTube channel and stuff like that. So it's like you're putting a lot of things in jeopardy, and it's like, for what? Because they're still the same people, split apart. But another thing, and I mentioned this on my podcast, is that the funny thing is that with this draft, it's 2 different networks. And so, we had that rumor of Fox being upset that, they're promoting the Peacock on their network, which is owned by NBC. USA is being upset because Fox got all the wrestlers and superstars. Now from this draft, USA has all the big names. So it's like Fox might get upset. So it's kind of like, now the draft is kind of has a different dynamic to it, because not only are you drafting between 2 different shows, it's 2 different networks. And it's like, not only do you have to worry about, okay, how are we going to set up, Raw with these new people? It's like, well, is USA Network happy with this draft class that we gave them? Is Fox happy with this draft class that, we gave them? Brock Lesnar's now a free agent. So, first he was with Fox with SmackDown and everything like that. USA must have gotten mad, and they was like, okay, we'll make him a free agent. So
both,
and so it's just like,
you happy now?
It's now a very weird dynamic. I know, it's like a very weird dynamic, because it's like, well, what if Fox gets upset? Because Fox gave a lot of money to WWE for them to host SmackDown. What if Fox get upset? And it's like, why can't we get more names? It's like, well, you're going to do the wild card rule again. Are we going to have another draft? It's
brand invitational.
Exactly. It's like they're locked in. It's like you're locked in now to, what's going on, because you're on 2 different networks that like have no relationship with each other. So it's just like now, with this draft, it just has that different dynamic of, okay, not only do you have to please the fans and the wrestlers and the shareholders, you got to please these 2 different networks of this draft. And, it's just weird too with them splitting up tag teams. It kind of like makes no sense. And then on top of that, they have like so many wrestlers, they got to do a supplemental draft. And so it's not like, you just have to watch Raw and SmackDown. You had to watch Talking
Talk.
Smack and Raw Talk, and then you gotta keep up on Twitter too and their Facebook page, and then I think there was even pics on the bump or whatever. It's like it's like the draft is like that much longer that you kind of had to do something. So you could have easily had done something, kind of to what Hafiz was saying, that for the people who stayed on the network, just say, this is who's staying on the networks, and this is the pool of people who is eligible to be drafted to different shows type of situation. Those picks that's just automatically locked in. As the NFL, you don't throw everyone in the NFL into a draft and, draft from there. Like throw Tom Brady back in the draft. Like who's going to end up with? Is it Jacksonville or Miami? So it's like, no, these are the lock-in picks. This is the pool of people who, don't put in a list like they did that one year, that the list that they put out was the exact draft order. Just put in the pool of people. These are all the people who are eligible to be drafted to, a different show or something like that. And that way, if we're not looking at Raw Talk or Talking Smack or the bump or having to pay attention to Twitter or go to Wikipedia like I did to figure out, okay, where's everybody else going? It would have made the draft like that much more special, because now it's like, okay, well, Drew McIntyre is in the pool. Like we already know, Roman Reigns is going to be on SmackDown, so we don't have to worry about number one pick or anything like that, because it's like, well, it's no surprise that's your champion. Of course, he's going to stay with their brand. And that way, the draft is specifically for people who could be drafted to different shows. And then, if you decide to keep them there, that'll be a surprise for us either way. But, you got the way that they have it set up. It's just like it takes longer than the 2 days than it was, because they did 4 rounds, I think it was. And it's just like, okay, well, where's everyone else going? Like you kind of threw everyone into this draft, and you kind of made it something bigger than what it really needed to be. And you don't have to name the NXT people, because you don't have to, you have that element of surprise. Because I was surprised Hit Row got called up. I was surprised because I was like, they were just kind of establishing themselves on NXT. I forgot her name, B-Fab, I think it is. Like she's not established.
Super green.
Green. She is as green as the Amazon forest. So I'm like, she's there now. She gets the call up over some of the other NXT women who have really established themselves and probably wanted to be called up. Rich Holland, I was surprised got called up because I thought it would be LA Knight, because LA Knight just screams Monday Night Raw or even SmackDown. So, and I thought that, that's kind of where we're going with NXT, that a lot of these older vets of NXT 1.0, 1.0,
let me,
gets moved up to the main roster, tweet them out, and we get all these new faces coming in. So I was just kind of surprised that we really didn't get more NXT call-ups than what we did. Xia Li, I'm surprised about, because we had, the mysterious Mortal Kombat character that was with her. And I'm like, okay. And I see that she's wrestling now, which I'm a little confused about, because I'm like, it doesn't fit your colorful scheme here. So it's just like, is, you're going to change her character, or, she's going to be this mysterious, dark character that you have on this like colorful and young and fresh type of show as well. And then let's see who else got moved over. Carmella going to Raw makes a lot of sense. Her character is what fits, with Monday Night Raw, going over there with Eva Marie and stuff like that. I can definitely see, a feud between those two of who's the most beautiful woman or whatever. And it just feels like with SmackDown, and I'm also happy that Finn Balor is over there with AJ Styles. I'm like, I'm hoping we finally get that feud. It's been so long. And I'm ready to see AJ Styles back to what he was before he, got into this tag team with Omos. I feel like since he's been teaming up with Omos, it's kind of like he's not the same as he was when he was in SmackDown, when he was, oh my gosh.
Whoa. You almost got pimp smacked.
She is the queen of cameos. Like every time on camera, she wants to jump up. It's like the third time. Well, she's trying to jump up on me, kid on camera again. Every time I'm filming, she like wants to jump up and get on camera for some reason. If I wasn't on camera, she would have nothing to do with me unless she's hungry.
That's a smart cat right there.
I know, like she's been here before. She's
give my camera time.
She's an FBI agent or something. Like, I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, I feel as though since AJ Styles moved from SmackDown to Raw, it's just like the way he was on SmackDown, the face that runs the place, he made John Cena exciting. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, for him to now kind of like not really be like the dynamic wrestler that he was, being in this tag team with Omos, is just like hopefully now we got Finn Balor and stuff that we kind of like. I was hoping that they would split them too, truthfully. I know Omos still needs work, but I feel as though that he's that strong guy that he can definitely get matches here and there.
There was a rumor that they was on a verge. They was going to utilize the draft to split them up, but they said there was a WWE superstar that suggested them to stay together. So
Probably
you can take it as a grain of salt.
Exactly.
WWE rumors.
Exactly.
But Jaydee, to your point though, I feel like that the way that you described how AJ hasn't felt the same since he moved over and became jumped in his tag team. I feel like that's the story too that they could go with. I feel like it's right there that you have Finn Balor coming over and just looking at AJ and be like, "What the hell happened to you, man? Like you're kind of telling yourself you're a joke. Like you, the dude that I knew in Japan." Was not this. Like, I whooped this dude's ass. Like, I ain't afraid of this dude. Like, what is going on, man?
Exactly.
You replaced me in Japan.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, so,
definitely right itself.
Oh, man. I'd just be all over that. I'd be all over that. Just fun draft. A lot of stuff, a lot of things to contemplate over the next couple of weeks until they finally.
I always enjoy the draft because it's just unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. So I think, when it comes to the core of the draft, why I watch it is because of being unpredictable. Usually, because WWE is a predictable show. This is one of the things they come with, being unpredictable. So it's like a breath of fresh air. I think that's why everybody enjoy it. The draft whatever happens. Some picks, you might not like, and some picks you do. The most surprising, to your point, Jaydee, was Hit Row for me, and I popped. I marked that. I was like, oh shit, okay. But I'm like, but B-Fab, she ain't ready, so I better not see her. I better not see her wrestle, cause
oh my gosh,
man, I don't need to see that. Don't need to see that.
I don't need to see.
I don't think Fox want to see that.
No, SmackDown.
Right.
I don't need to see her versus Naomi.
No.
Like I don't need to see that.
No. I don't need to see Naomi try to carry her. No.
I don't need to see that. Like have her wrestle the dark matches and stuff.
Yes.
Throw her back in NXT.
That's what you do.
Throw her back on NXT. They should have did with her what they kind of did with Enzo and Cash, where they had Carmella stay back at NXT to kind of build her up as a singles wrestler and then bring her up. I think that's something that they could have done with B-Fab, like still have her kind of be in NXT, get herself together, because, with the other guys, they're pretty good, but it's just like her wrestling is not there at all. Like it really isn't. So
they might still do it, honestly, because we'll say like, now this is whole different scenario, but Mia Yim was a part of Retribution, and then all of a sudden it seemed like she slowly kind of like disappeared, and now I just saw too that she was drafted, I think, to SmackDown, which is like she's already been on the main roster. Like, what are we talking about? It says from NXT, I believe, to SmackDown on one of the supplemental. I'm just
they don't know. What? They don't even know that she's on the main roster.
That she's there, right? Like she's on the roster already. No, she's on Raw. Sorry. She's on Raw. Yeah. NXT to Raw. Like,
yeah. Because Keith Lee, that makes sense. Yeah. Like to do their thing.
So that makes sense. But just, I feel like there's a chance that with B-Fab that they just say, you know what, she, whether it's through main event or it's through just sending her back to NXT for a little bit longer, letting her, catch her, just learn a little bit more and to get more comfortable in the ring and to just establish herself a little bit better, because she has potential. She's got the charisma, she's got the persona, that swag. Like, I just think she could be great, but it's too clear that she's so green. So yeah.
All right, guys, that's going to conclude our episode for our AEW weekly recap. And one more time, don't forget to subscribe to Jaydee from the Wrestlebread podcast, to our podcast on YouTube, and look for her on Spotify and all those beautiful, great social networks. And of course, don't forget to support your boys at the ClarkStreetWrestling.com, ST for the abbreviation, website, where we have all of your audio podcast needs, and YouTube as well. And I can't forget, of course, of our merchandise, our merch, our beach towels, and our hoodies. Don't forget about that. And we catch you next time when we go over part 2 of the episode of our Crown Jewel predictions. All right, so we catch you next time on the Clark Street Wrestling podcast. It is decided.